In this video, we have breaking news. Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she will be resigning from Congress January 5th of 2026, and the president did respond. Also, the Somalia community continues to get exposed for committing widespread fraud in Minnesota, this time with fraudulent autism claims. But let's start with what Marjorie Taylor Greene said last night. Take a listen.
And another Fox News alert, Marjorie Taylor Greene announced she's resigning. Her last day will be January 5th. MTG is a powerful voice in the party who recently had a falling out with President Trump, and she put out a statement today. I have too much self-respect and dignity, love my family way too much, and do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president. We all fought for only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better.
All right, so this announcement by Marjorie Taylor Greene was definitely a shocker last night. And all of the reactions are rolling in, of course, including the president. Just this morning, an hour ago, I'll read it to you. Marjorie Trader Brown, because of plummeting poll numbers and not wanting to face a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement, where she would have no choice of winning, has decided to call it quits. Her relationship with the worst Republican congressman in decades, Trump Mamdani of Kentucky, also known as Rand Paul Jr., because he votes against the Republican Party, and really good legislation did not help her. For some reason, primarily that I refused to return her never-ending barrage of phone calls. Marjorie went bad. Nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for her service to our country. President DJT. What I want you guys to do first, before we go any further, watch the video that she posted on her account, and you let me know how you feel about it.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest. And the spending power of the dollar continues to decline.
So this takes us to the next logical question. Why would she quit at this moment in time? Okay, why now? Well, I think there's a couple of scenarios. We'll just have to conclude which one it is in time because we'll get confirmations of it. One, she lost leverage overall, politically. There's no way she was going to go against the president, especially as we look towards the midterms. If she doesn't have the endorsement of him, she probably doesn't have the endorsement of majority of the Republican Party. Number two, her stance on Israel and the Epstein files is a deal breaker for the president. No question about it. And this continues to highlight the fracturing of the right-wing party, if you think about it, okay? There's people super pro-Israel and people who are against Israel. And it's created a divide, no question. And the Epstein files, again, that's another touchy topic. And three, it's also possible that she might believe that it just isn't worth it, okay? I can go outside of politics, have a great media career, start my own podcast, appear on podcasts with no restriction, and make money and have fun and have better relationships. That might be possible, okay? Now, here's the president just moments ago talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Take a listen.
Are you willing to forgive Congresswoman Taylor Greene? Forgive for what? No, I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history. Just stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived the primary. But I think she's a nice person.
Okay, that's a classical response from the president, right? This is the type of guy that's really business driven. I think the only person he truly hates is Nancy Pelosi. I think everybody else he ends up having a disagreement with he'll always find a way to either make up sooner or later down the road, not really have a lot of beef with them, or not really give them any energy in the end. If you think about it, just look at what happened with Elon Musk. He was just at the White House hanging out with him and having dinner. So, I'm not shocked by that response, to say the least, but I am shocked by what Representative Tim Burchett, and you guys know how I feel about him. Here's what he said about the whole thing last night. Take a listen.
All right, Congressman Burchett, what do you think about this breakup? What's going on here?
You see that a lot in politics. You also see people kiss and make up. I don't know that those two will ever. But Marjorie, she's been an independent person since she got here, and President Trump obviously speaks his mind, and they're in a complete disagreement right now. And
is this about Epstein, or is there something broader about this relationship that's
this
more
town is
representative?
is never about what's current.
Right. So what do you think is this about?
It's a personality difference that's come a long way. She's upset about the perceived control of Israel. She's up in Trump's embracing of Israel, and she's upset over several other things. But again, she's independent.
I mean, do you think it's important to have people like MTG speaking out and speaking their opinions?
I'm a big believer in the First Amendment until you say something I don't like, ma'am. And then I think we need to readdress it. No. Yeah, she can do whatever she wants to. She's independent. She has to stand. That's the thing people don't understand in this business. I hear people say, we need to get somebody up there and beat AOC. Well, dadgummit, you're not going to beat her up there, and she's not going to come down here and come down to Knoxville or East Tennessee and beat me. It's just people elect people for their abilities and their beliefs, and if they don't like them, then they send them to the retirement line.
Okay, now, have you seen this hoodie that you are watching here on the screen? Because it's just phenomenal. I have one of them, actually. And it's very important because people are locking in their winter gear right now. You know why? Because they're going to be able to save so much money. And this is why it's important for you to take a look at Bearskin. They're running a 60% off deal right now, but only if you get the hoodie early. This hoodie is built like a tank. 340 GSM micro fleece, 10 pockets with a clean, rugged fit that looks awesome. Plus, it zips right into their heavy storm rain jacket to become 100% waterproof when you most need it. And here's one more thing that I think is truly important. When you support Bearskin, you're supporting the fallen outdoors and the Hope for the Warriors Veterans Program. So it's not just you're buying more gear, but you're actually supporting a cause. So lock in your winter gear today. You're going to get free shipping. It's fast delivery. All you have to do is text DeVory to 36912. Text DeVory to 36912 to lock in your 60% off again today. And remember, you're supporting a cause for our veterans. Okay, I don't know about you, but the thing that keeps eating at me is the fact that she was in the inner circle of MAGA, particularly the House of Representatives. She was part of that small collective that really represented what the president stood for. And then come this year, she starts to change on a couple of issues. Now, I think the two biggest ones are definitely the Epstein files and Israel. I mean, you take those two things, you go on to The View and CNN, you start contradicting the president. I don't think it's ever going to end well for anybody. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But I will say this. Anthony Scaramucci has this opinion. He believes she's done. She had to be done. She had to move on because she doesn't believe it's worth getting assassinated over because she's been receiving a lot of death threats. Take a listen.
I think she's got some, you really want me to tell you? I mean, I'm probably going to get me in trouble. I think she's gotten some death threats. And I think that her turn against Donald Trump has gone very nasty because she was right there in the inner circle. And I think she says it's just not worth it. And I think she's pulled out and resigned. That's honestly what I believe. And I'm getting the information like you did right before the commercial break. But that's what I think. And listen, you know, she made some points over the last 3 weeks that I think are legitimate. And if you go to Vance, Marjorie Taylor Greene is more or less speaking to him. She said over the last 3 to 6 weeks, Chris, that she goes to the supermarket and prices are out of control. And you know this, I know this. You can go get a pot roast here on Long Island at King Cullen. It went from $9 to $36 in 2.5 years. I mean, it's not sustainable for the average person, you know.
Yeah, I mean, economically, he's spot on about that. I'm not going to dispute anything he said regarding the economy. I just believe that we still have a lot of time ahead of us. Economically, it's going to take time to see the results of what he has done. And that's not going to happen, like I keep saying, until next March or next spring, when people start getting that tax money. Watch how people react then. Now, one more clip from you. This is Ro Khanna pointing out how she may still have some influence here within the right-wing party. Take a look.
So it wouldn't surprise you if Marjorie Taylor Greene runs for president?
It would not. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to her about that. But I will tell you this. She is in touch with a populist element of the Trump base that feels increasingly abandoned by Donald Trump. And and she really speaks about forgotten Americans. And she will tell you she was for Donald Trump when no one thought Donald Trump had a chance. When CNN probably wasn't even covering Donald Trump.
Okay, so bottom line to all of this, guys, this is just another situation that continues to serve as a reminder of how nasty politics can be. It also serves as a reminder that people in Washington are more concerned with drama than they are with actually serving the American people. All right, let's go to our next update. This is Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who obviously was accused of donating money to Lee Zeldin by Jasmine Crockett, but she tried to make it seem like it was the other Jeffrey Epstein that did it, and then she obviously thought we were stupid when she made an excuse about it. Here he is on Sean Hannity. I think he's having fun with this, but I also think he shares the reality when someone does something like this. Take a listen.
I don't know at this point if I should feel sorry for you. I'm sure you're proud of your family name. How do you feel getting mixed up in that mess?
It's been a week of a disaster, if you might say. I was very happy with my name. I've had it longer than he has. Obviously, I'm still here and he's not. But to be implicated or even the insinuation that I am the pedophile, it was really pretty awful what she did. And she clearly, when she did her word scramble backpedaling on CNN the other night, those were just blatant lies. It's ridiculous.
Would you take legal action against her?
I had considered it, but of course, with the law, you cannot, because the comments were made on in the Senate floor, so you can't sue based on the constitutional law.
All right, let's just pause for a second here. You see that? Did you hear that? So a member of Congress can go onto the Senate floor or the House floor, defame someone, misrepresent someone, lie about blatant facts, and they can know that they're lying and not be held accountable. Doesn't that remind you of something else about Congress, how they can pretty much commit insider trading, but can never be held liable for doing that? Yeah, see, these are one of the things that absolutely needs to change.
What about what she said on CNN? We're given a chance to get it right.
She certainly didn't get it right. If anything, she lied even further because she never once said a Jeffrey Epstein. She said Jeffrey Epstein. Clearly, she implied that Lee Zeldin, amongst others, had taken money from the pedophile. But let the record show that if you look in the filings, you also see that Jasmine Crockett took money from Jeffrey Epstein.
You know, I always feel sorry. I mean, I chose this life that I live to be in the public eye. But for people that don't choose it and they get smeared and slandered and besmirched, I've often given advice to friends that have gone through that. It's very hard on them. Has this been very hard on you?
It's been annoying. That's the best way I can say it. I've been inundated
You're
with...
very gracious.
A few too many texts, a few too many phone calls, people showing up at my home saying they're friends of mine. A reporter from the New York Post came by. It's just so silly. It's annoying, and that's what it was.
Did you donate to Jasmine Crockett? I read you might.
I was hoping this would go away already. I thought this would die down after a couple of days, but it just seems to keep going and going.
Did you donate to Jasmine Crockett? I read you might.
I did. I donated to Jasmine Crockett.
That's really good. I hope he really did donate to her. That way people can run stories and say that, oh, did you know that Jeffrey Epstein donated to Jasmine Crockett? I mean, and then how would she feel at that point, right? I thought this was a good little segment just to show you guys, like when someone goes on in front of a camera, like someone like Jasmine Crockett, and says stupid things, how it could backfire really quickly and how it affects just innocent people who have nothing to really do with what's going on. But that's a whole nother thing. All right, let's go to this next update, which is big. This also, I guess, is another great example why Doge is needed not only in our federal government, but also at the state level. It's been reported that the Somalia community in Minnesota has been defrauding taxpayers by submitting fraudulent autism claims in order to make more money and send back to their country. This is outrageous, of course. Let's hear it.
Now, it all revolves around autism and HSS program. That is Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services. Now, this was created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing. But the criteria to enter this program was incredibly loose and therefore easy to take advantage of. It's led to fraud and costs absolutely exploding. Just 5 years ago, in 2020, costs for this program were $2.6 million. 4 years later, by 2024, cost had been over $100 million, 104. Through the first 6 months of this year, costs are at $61 million, meaning if you double that over the entirety of the year, you're looking at $122 million. In 5 years, from $2 million to $122 million. Now, why? 6 people are accused of defrauding HSS, and they're members of the Somali community. But this just gets worse if we take a look at Minnesota's federally funded autism program. Now, several people, and this is an example, a woman in the Somali community, are co-conspirators, and they're accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. They brought in families, had them convinced to get their kids diagnosed as autistic. In fact, these families ultimately ended up having various social services bid for their children, competing with the size of check that they would get.
Just quickly here, this is one of 2 bombshell fraud announcements coming out of the state of Minnesota regarding how people have been taking advantage of their programs at the state level. So there's massive corruption going over there, all right? That's the first thing. Secondly, $122 million. And this is why, as conservatives, we are needed in leadership. Again, I was saying it the other day, if you allow progressives to be in charge, there is no restraint. There is no restrictions. There's none of that. They're just going to let it all go. And fraud will, continue to expand at an accelerated rate. And that's what we're seeing in Minnesota. These people are not about accountability, law and order, rooting out corruption. That's an afterthought.
It didn't matter if the kids had autism. And what happened? Autism claims to Medicaid surged. In 2018, $3 million. By 2023, listen here, from $3 million to $400 million. Autism providers jumped from 41 to 328 in 5 years. Now, City Journal reports that the Somali fraud rings send a lot of money back to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. That totals $1.7 billion. That is more than the entire budget of the Somali government. Money being sent abroad, from abroad, back to Somalia. Where is that money going? Take a look at this. Most alarmingly, a lot of that money is funneled through money traders, and in the end, ends up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked Islamic terror group Al-Shabaab. So to bring this full circle, the Minnesota taxpayers are funneling money through fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia, where that money lands in the accounts of Al-Shabaab.
So needless to say, there's a large corruption scheme happening within the state of Minnesota. And you know who's really funding it? The people of Minnesota with their tax dollars. And why haven't we heard from Governor Tim Walz in a statement, a press conference to address this? It's interesting how quiet they get when there's corruption happening within their own ranks. But they have so much to say about what the president is doing. I guess that's just politics, right? So the president had to come out this morning and he put this post up here. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, as president of the United States, hereby terminating, effective immediately, the temporary protected status, TPS program, for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. Yeah, again, I haven't been able to find an actual public statement from the governor, so as soon as that comes out, we're definitely going to show it to you. Now, Mr. Omar Fatih, who tried to run as mayor for Minneapolis and did not win, this is his response. The president does not have the authority to terminate this program on his own, but I'm sure he's hoping this will distract you from the 1,500 times he's mentioned in the Epstein files. And my response to Omar is, why aren't you attacking what's happening within that own state? This is pure corruption. And that's just one program with autism. There's another program called Feeding the Future, which is food for children. There is massive corruption in that program, too. Take a listen.
Usman Kamara is the 77th person charged in the massive $300 million Feeding Our Future fraud case. According to the indictment, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Kamara claimed to serve more than 300,000 meals to children out of his small grocery store in North Minneapolis. Federal prosecutors say Kay's Dollar Grocery and Deli, also called Kay's African Market, had already been disqualified from participating in SNAP because of suspected fraud. Now, a grand jury indictment charges him with stealing about $1 million meant to feed hungry children.
The owner is also charged with wire fraud for allegedly using more than $200,000 of the fraud money to buy the building where his store is located.
If I own this building and I want to be here for the next 20, 30 years, nobody can kick me out. It's mine.
Well, clearly he's not familiar with something called the federal government. They'll take whatever they want. Okay, you could buy a building. That doesn't mean you own the land that building sits on, as we all know. And I'm sure you support removing property taxes as a whole. But at any rate, if you commit fraud at this level with federal funds, they're going to take it all. And again, I just don't like the idea of people who come to our country and commit this type of fraud and scam with our own tax dollars. And I don't even live in Minnesota. And I'm upset for them.
NPR News interviewed Kamara in 2020 after he defended his store from rioters after the murder of George Floyd. Now, since he allegedly purchased the building with fraud money, the indictment says it's subject to forfeiture, so the feds can recoup some of the funds. However, past cases have indicated that other money referenced in the indictment, including a $90,000 wire transfer to Hong Kong, alleged bribes paid to a Feeding Our Future employee, and funds spent to pay off Kamara's credit cards, is likely gone.
So the Feeding Our Future worker who Kamara allegedly paid $87,000 in bribes is charged, but that person fled to Somalia before the very first indictments came down. Of the 77 total defendants, 56 of them have been convicted so far. Julie.
All right. Do you get it? Do you guys get it? You wonder why the Somalia community gets so much hate from conservatives, particularly the president, because the biggest person who speaks on behalf of them is clearly Ilmar Omar. And she's not a great representation of what we need in this country. When you marry your brother to gain citizenship, you enable people to commit fraud at levels we haven't seen before within states at this. I mean, this is just outrageous. We don't need people like that in this country. We're already dealing with fraud with our own American citizens. Why would we continue to allow people to come to our country and commit fraud in this way? It just doesn't make any sense. Maybe I'm a bit radical on that. Okay, I understand. But how else, like, what else is there to say about this? This is craziness. But I do want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. What do you make of this widespread fraud regarding the Somalia community in Minnesota? We haven't heard from Governor Tim Walz on this. I guess it's no shocker. And I mean, they were supposed to be feeding children. They're using autism claims. Just let me know what your thoughts are about that. Also, Marjorie Taylor Greene, clearly that's a big story. She's resigning from Congress 2 days after she is able to qualify for a lifetime pension. She did make some good economic points in her message, but how did you guys receive it overall? What do you make of it? Just give me your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. Now, let's go to our next video where Trump Mamdani met with the president in the Oval Office, and they left reporters, media, and Democrats perplexed. It was a great meeting, very cordial. I think you guys will enjoy some of the reactions, including this statement from a Cook County judge who was responsible for releasing the man who had been arrested 72 times before he lit a woman on fire on the subway. You guys miss out on that updates and more? All you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.